Where is a good place to sleep on a hot summer night? What do dogs and mattresses have to do with heat? What good is ice if you don't plan to use it in a drink? Does clothing really matter? Find out on this episode. Welcome to Righty Roll with Allie. I'm Allie, and this is episode number 32. 5 Ways to Stay Cool Without Air Conditioning, Part 3. Stick around to the end to find out what could possibly go wrong. Now, on to the show. Whether before air conditioning, after the apocalypse, or your character is stubborn and doesn't want one, we will cover 5 more ways to stay cool. Number 11. Don't heat the home. If your characters are trying to stay cool in the heat, they don't want to make the home hotter. A modern example is using a blow dryer. Hair will dry just fine without one, and the character is only blowing hot air on themselves in the heat. Another one is the dryer. Electric dryers were invented in 1892. That makes them 131 years old at the time I am recording this. They became commonplace in the home during the 1940s, at least here in America. While experts say you should not notice a difference in the room temperature while the dryer is running unless something is wrong. I wonder if they've ever used a dryer. I have never done the laundry at home, the laundromat, or anywhere else that it didn't make the room hotter. It is better to dry the clothing on a clothesline or hang it around the home while it is hot. Something that will go in history and straight through the apocalypse is that cooking will heat the home. Whether it is a stove, oven, fireplace, fire pit, or wood-cook stove, it will make the home hotter. Eating cold, shelf-stable, fresh, or canned food is best. They can cook outside if they need to, or just want to, assuming the weather will let them. I don't recommend making a fire outside in tornado weather, but your character could do it. I'll just be over here thinking they've lost their marbles. Side note, eating hot foods or drinking hot drinks will heat the core temperature. This is not something that your character wants to do on an already hot day. Number 12. Ice fan. I grew up without air conditioning. When I stayed at my aunt's home, on particularly hot days, we would walk to the convenience store and buy a couple of bags of ice. One was for cooling drinks, and the other was for making what we called the poor man's air conditioner. Basically, this was a bag of ice dumped into a 5-gallon bucket and then water poured on top of it. It was then placed in front of the fan. Cooling down in front of the ice bucket fan was one of the best things, and we would fight over who got to sit there and for how long. When the adults finally wised up, they got a fan that rotated so we could all share. Not that we wanted to. While this doesn't cool the whole home, or even a room, it does make a nice, cool breeze. We usually had it sitting somewhere close to the door going outside so that we could come in and cool off, then go back outside and play. I don't ever remember closing the door while doing this, but I imagine that it would make the room a few degrees cooler, but not much. Number 13. Dress in light, loose clothing. Your body uses sweat to cool down. Wearing loose clothing allows small amounts of airflow to do this, while heavy-weighted clothing traps the sweat, and it evaporates off the clothing, not the skin. Dressing in a light-colored clothing also helps. You see, light colors reflect most, but not all, of the wavelengths that can heat the body, while dark colors will absorb the wavelengths and grow hotter far faster. This is why light-colored, loose-weight clothing is best in a heat wave. Number 14. Don't do unneeded physical or stressful activities. Working is hard at any time, but with added extreme temperatures, it can be deadly. Whether your character is farming a field, fishing, working inside in an unair-conditioned room, or working in a hot steel factory, they are at risk of a heat-related illness. These include heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. These can be both temporarily dangerous and risk long-term effects. Heat stroke can even be fatal. I have a whole episode coming up about this next month, so tune in if you want to learn more. Other scenarios would be survival situations. It might make more sense to have your characters moving at night in the desert. Most, but not all, deserts are extremely hot during the day and cold at night. If this is the case for your character, it is best to move at night and stave off hypothermia, and rest in the day so they do not overheat and risk heat-related illnesses, or cause more sweating that will lead them to becoming dehydrated faster. Granted, moving at night would not be a good idea in places like the jungle or the rainforest. The reason is that large predators hunt at night and have many places to hide. Plus, they can see better in the dark than your character. Well, unless your character is a werecat or has night vision. Ooh, your character could be a night predator. What? Off topic? Okay, back onto the topic. Just ignore me pouting in the corner. Number 15. Sleeping outside. Every generation I know that has lived without air conditioning has, at some point, slept outside in the summer just because it's cooler. You see, the home heats during the day, and it can take a long time for the air inside the home to cool down, while the outside air is already cooler. Almost every summer will come with some unbearably hot nights, unless they live further north than I do here in Tornado Alley. My in-law tells a story of being a young girl in the 1930s and her parents taking a mattress outside during the day to air out. Then everyone sleeping on mattresses outside at night. The parents and all the assemblies would watch the stars together until they fell asleep. Just remember, your character will only do this if the place that they are at is reasonably safe. We have wolves, bears, bobcats, mountain lions, coyotes, and that's just a few of the predators here. As long as none of them have come close in the night recently, I would feel safe sleeping outside. However, if they had been attacking our livestock, or I had seen them, I would not feel safe sleeping outside. Either way, I would take some sort of self-defense with me. Your characters could always come in contact with two-legged predators also. Something to remember is that if your character has a dog, they make a great alarm system. They do not have to be mean or attack to bark and let the character know that someone or something is there. However, many dogs would attack in some situations. If you're writing historical or apocalyptic, the dogs are unlikely to be well socialized. They can be very territorial. Also, some types of dogs are natural protectors, while some are not. And some dogs break all the typical dog standards for their breed. All things that will factor in to your story. Interesting fact. According to the NOAA, that is, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, say heat fatalities are roughly 3 times more likely to happen than a cold-related fatality. Now for everyone's favorite part, what could possibly go wrong? Well, let me tell you, likely to go wrong, your character tries to cook inside during a heat wave. They could overheat and easily have a heat stroke. Also likely to go wrong, when the heat wave comes through, your character has never been in one before. They decide to wear a thick, dark shirt and did not understand why it was hard for them to stay cool. Possible to go wrong. Your farmer character is working in the field on his crops. With the sun bearing down, he overheats and has a medical emergency such as a heat stroke. Also possible to go wrong. While using a bucket of ice water and a fan, your character did not pay enough attention to making sure not to drip the water on the floor. If the fan cord comes in contact with the water, someone could be electrocuted. Unlikely to go wrong. Your character's dryer was making the room hotter. When they were reminded to check the vents just to be on the safe side, they unwisely chose not to. This leads to a dryer fire and burns their home down. Also unlikely to go wrong. While sleeping outside to stay cool, your character is attacked by wild animals or even a bad guy. Improbable, but still technically in the realm of possibilities. Your character decides to travel at night in the jungle to stay cool and a jaguar eats them. Also improbable, but technically still in the realm of possibilities. While using a bucket of ice water in front of a fan to cool down, your character leaves the room for a moment. When they return, they find a toddler stuck headfirst in the bucket underwater. If your character saves the child, they could be a hero. If not, this could be a very tragic backstory. You can find this episode's show notes and helpful links to learn more on my website, AlleyHart.com. That's ALLEYHART.com. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and follow for more episodes. Connect on my YouTube videos by dropping me a comment. A new episode comes out every Monday. Until then, happy wordsmithing.